All right, welcome everybody. I'm Wes Warren. I'm here with Greg Stanley. We're from Whitehall Management, and we're going to talk about economics, kind of what's going on in the world and how it might affect our practices out there. Everybody's been worried about it. I wouldn't say concerned, let's put it that way. I hear about it every phone call when I talk with a doctor, just about, they always ask me, how's that things going out there? How are your practices doing? By and large, there's really been no changes. Some practices having great months, some just okay, but pretty much normal. But we are seeing stuff out there in the economy that eventually could impact practices. We're seeing massive layoffs now, certainly by the tech companies. Obviously, inflation's going crazy. There's wobbly market out there that kind of everybody was predicting was going to happen. Greg, where do you want to start first, as far as discussing what's out there and how its impacts on dentistry?
Sure. Well, it's a kind of strange because often these things catch us by surprise. But we've had advocacy almost, people talking about inflation and recession and so forth, as if it actually benefited some portion of the nation. We're looking right now, as of today, at an inflation rate of 8%. Down from 10. And yes, like you said, we're seeing layoffs. And I would like to just venture my opinion on this.
Okay.
A lot of companies are hesitant to do mass layoffs. But when the tech companies start doing it, I mean, Elon Musk was paying what turns out to be an average of $400 each per person for free meals for the people at Tesla. In other words, when people that prosperous lay off some massive chunk of people, Jeff Bezos, laying off massive numbers of people, Facebook, on and on, it becomes like the cover of darkness. Like, I guess everybody's doing this, so let's just cut a lot of these people we wanted to get rid of, And so layoffs start to take off because kind of like the pandemic, a lot of things happened in the pandemic that you could blame on the pandemic, whether it was because of that or not. Well,
so it's like bad press. They don't want bad press, so they don't do these mass layoffs. But when everybody starts doing it, they just throw their hat and say, hey.
I'm surprised Jeff Bezos wasn't the first to go. I mean, because after shooting himself and a couple of friends into space at a cost of billions, he was going to look bad if he laid off people.
Yeah.
Elon Musk kind of has the idea. He doesn't own a home, lives at the factory, on all those things. But that's their fear, is being seen by the people as living this king-like existence, and the rest of the people suffering with unbearable inflation. I was reading how people are now having to take money from savings just to buy food and to function. So this is inflation that's probably not sustainable without a loss of lifestyle for Americans. And so this is for those of you who have said, I'm done with insurance, I'm only going to do dentistry for people to pay cash, or we'll bill your insurance, but you got to pay for it up front. That could actually change. In 2008, it's one of the things we saw. People actually, for the first time in probably 20 years of my career, I saw people in dentistry actually lending credit to patients. And they tried to do it with some limits and so forth, and kind of survived it. But that's more the territory we're headed to. So loosen up. If you could stay relevant with big cases and so forth, good for you. Let's keep going. But if you have to step back because your area is experiencing incredible hardship, you have no choice but to either move to another area or meet your market, head on with what they want. One thing I think we are going to benefit from, with massive layoffs, we should finally have our employees back. Wes and I coach people all over the country, Dr. Peterson, And I don't think we have an office that's fully staffed, or if it is, it's a miracle.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. It's a disaster out there, and when they're staffed with warm bodies, I guess is the term everybody uses, or it's like the NFL when they did the strike, and they brought in the replacements, or the MLB brought in the replacements. It's just a substandard. It's not the same, and that's really what dentistry is running off of. Is like the movie The Replacements,
Trying to stitch it together.
league.
Right. So what we are seeing is in the future, we think we're going to be seeing more applicants. As to whether dentistry's people will be coming back, hygienists and all that, we'll have to wait and see. But one thing I could tell you is that we have probably in a lot of our offices lost our core strategies, our core information or learning, the knowledge base. In other words, we'll be rebuilding for a year or two to come. But I think we'll finally get access again to the good people.
I would like to make a comment on that, Greg, because what I see coming is right now, for every practice that we're dealing with staffing issues, getting the right players in the field, but every one of our offices are doing great, and most of them are, because the economy by and large is doing excellent. It's maybe not keeping up with inflation, but it's doing well, and it's reflecting in our practices. What I'm afraid of, and what I think is going to happen, is as the economy turns and we get a downturn, we're going to be dealing with patients that aren't as giving with their finances and buying dentistry. And so you're going to have the struggle of maintaining your production. And what you're going to turn to is our team. Hey, team, hey, call that person, do that. All of a sudden, all the cracks are going to appear in the ship. And that's what I'm afraid of. I know that's what's going to happen. If the economy tanks and people struggle to pay for dentistry, all of a sudden you're going to see all the weaknesses in the practice that you don't really see right now. And you'd be wise to try to fix them now while things are good.
I agree. Just a thought too about investing. Interest rates will probably be going up. For those of you who like debt investments like municipal bonds or corporate bonds, so forth, you'll be looking at higher yields than you have. We didn't even talk about this for a while because it was so bad. We're looking at 1% interest or less. And in truth, we had the risk of an 8 or 9% bond. So we had all the risk without the yield. Now we get a little yield back, but make no mistake, they're still not tied to the risk like they used to be. It just kind of is going its own way. Risk goes one way, up, and yield goes another way, a little bit up. Okay. So keep an eye on that. Some of the tactics and the strategies of people that have invested through a lot of good times and bad times know it's time for more scrutiny. Anybody that really needs debt on top of a mountain of debt is probably not a good investment. And I want to go back to this inflation thing, because I heard a great quote from Warren Buffett as people raised their hand at one of his meetings. He's 91 years old. We're not going to get to talk to him that much longer. He said, be the best at what you do, not just in your mind, but in the public's mind. Those who are the best at what they do cannot see their fortune inflated away. That was his quote. I like that. You can't inflate away the value of somebody that's at the top. And now let's go back and tear that apart a little bit, unpack it, as they say. Let's look at that. When you're the best in your own mind, I don't think that's what he's talking about.
Well, a lot of our dentists think they're the best in their own mind, and
it's good that they have confidence.
Right, but
you want to make sure that you're a high referral practice, that you're competitive. But when the community sees you as the best, there's a premium they'll pay for that. You can
How do you think that manifests in dentistry? Because everybody thinks they're the best, like I was trying to say, but how do you judge yourself? Are we the best? What would be the indicator to you that yeah, maybe you are the best in your community?
Referring to other people. When we refer with strength to friends, relatives, neighbors, coworkers, you probably considered the best. And you know, it's a funny thing because the definition is so different between doctors and patients. Patients think if you give them a shot that doesn't hurt, you're the best. If a doctor does a full mouth restoration with perfect occlusion, et cetera, then he thinks he's the best, or she thinks they're the best. So what we're talking about here is how patients see this.
And how many referrals would you say when you start talking patient to patient referrals on a monthly basis? What's the number we go, maybe you are the best in your area per month?
Okay, first of all, kind of the bare minimum. You probably are losing this fight if you're getting below 20, 22. If you're at 30 or 40 referrals per doctor in the practice, you're either in a small community with no competition, or you're really, really doing it right. And you know, that's something we kind of came into this business talking about, Wes, was consumerism. In other words, really giving people what they want. And I know doctors think they do. They give a small section of the market what they want because they want a shot kind of like I give. They want treatment kind of like I give. But when you start giving people what they had in mind, like a shot that doesn't hurt or dentistry that isn't painful or I can afford it or whatever, that's when you start to get the lift that I'm talking about. So I think Warren Buffett gave us wisdom for the ages. If we can be the best in patients' mind, inflation is not the threat you think it is. Let me give you another example, Wes. Yeah, one, of course, would be that we can raise our fees with inflation, okay?
Right.
Number two, that is other doctors are swept away as they were, for example, in the pandemic. We actually saw the numbers get shrunk. When that happens, we can pick up those patients into our practices because we know the dynamics of motivating staff, managing associates, marketing, all of those things. And you can literally inherit the earth as these, as the weaker doctors, the ones that don't want to give people what they want to give people what they want, the doctor wants. And so, yeah, I think Warren Buffett gave us the clue to go forward. Let's be the best at what we do and not get inflated away, as he said.
Yeah. I think the indicator is absolutely referrals. How many referrals do you get a month? I would have said 50, I would have said hey, if you're getting 50, you're in a league of your own. But I certainly would agree that anywhere between 30 and 50, you're probably near the top of the class.
Wes, somehow I tapped into some YouTube feed that would, how whatever you click on, they give you more of it. And I was fascinated by certain things. One of them was how you make money at an all-you-can-eat buffet, or how do you make money selling gasoline in a gas station? And I was fascinated by because they really do give you the behind the scenes,
Yeah, okay.
It's nothing like you'd think about. And you'd be surprised probably to find out that a lot of dentists don't know where the money is in dentistry. They still think it's from making a lot out of hygiene, or that marketing patients are bad patients, or there's a lot of false beliefs. Dentistry for a new person, a new dentist, is as mysterious as an all-you-can-eat buffet, which, believe it or not, had a lot to do with the drinks you serve and how often you serve them to cut people's appetites off. They have all these things, all these techniques that they can go in and make a failing buffet make money. So there's a lot to this game. In dentistry, it's no different.
Interesting. Yeah.
We'll be bringing you that information in the broadcasts to come.
yeah, we want to make sure that you guys are armed with what you need, what's coming.
Yeah, when you need it, yeah.
I think the next broadcast, we should really talk about referrals, how to get more, what it really takes. Because like you said, those are the practices that aren't going to fail. Those are the practices that will stay full no matter what.
Wes, let me just bring you up to date on a practice that I've been coaching that goes back. They've come and gone with us. They came back with us a while back. And he was really struggling, and it was new to him. He had had some really great years. And now he called us in and so forth. One of the things that Wes pointed out to him was that he had 7 Google reviews and that the competition had 200. And this guy was dying. It was terrible. And as time went on, we came up with a bunch of plans to boost those Google reviews. The cool thing about that is you can do that in 90 days. You can get those reviews up. Well, now it's like raining new patients. He doesn't know where they're coming from. And it's all good. He's growing, he's happy. And yeah, he's going to try some marketing, but him tuning those Google reviews up took a guy that was destined for disaster and put meat on his bones. So yeah, stay tuned. We're going to keep you up to date and keep you in the mainstream. So thank you.
Yeah, and if anybody needs any questions answered, any things that are specific to your practice, please click the link. You can schedule online with Greg and myself. We keep 3 or 4 spots a week open for people. No charge, no obligation. We're just glad to talk with doctors and try to help them. So thanks for listening.
Thank you.